Okay, welcome. Welcome to our Journey Home series with Kamila Shenmen. This is Bringing Your Light to the World. Thank you for being here with us today. We have an amazing woman presenting for us today. If you have not met Kamila, you're in for a treat. Kamila is, I'm going to speak about her in a way I know she would never speak of herself, but it's comes from my heart and from what I feel are many blessings I've received from knowing her over the last several years. Kamila is, and I'm not saying this just because she's my boss, okay, but she's one of our co-presidents of the university. That's actually a shared role for this organization. We have a shared role. Kamila Shenmen and Salima Adelstein share that role, and what Kamila has brought to that role as co-president, dean of admissions, and faculty member of the university is, oh boy, it's when I say Kamila has a strong presence, she truly carries a presence that you just feel, that brings so much strength and solidity and certainty to our organizations and to those that she teaches in her classes and those that she counsels in her sessions. And Kamila, I've heard a little bit about some of the personal pieces of her story and her journey, and I'll say, Kamila, I don't know if you're planning to share any of that with us today, but I've found her journey to be fascinating. One that, in her professional bio, you hear that and you're just amazed at all the things that this woman has done. But then, like they said, Ginger Rogers did everything Fred Astaire did on heels and backwards. But, we're not getting into the male-female comparison here. Kamila did all of this stuff with, as a mother and, with the mother of 4 children and the family life and all of this. So I'm going to read you a little bit about what Kamila has done on her journey and in terms of how her light has had the opportunity to shine. And then I'll let her share with you if you care to share any of your personal journey, Kamila, and I know that we appreciate it. But in either case, she's going to help us to know how to bring our light into the world in hopefully in as powerful a way as she has done. So Kamila is, like I said, a graduate of the University of Spiritual Healing and Sufism and went on to become a faculty member, dean of admissions, co-president. She served on the board for a long time, even before she actually became an employee. She holds a doctorate in computer science and molecular biology. She worked for 18 years at the National Institute of Health in Bethesda, Maryland. She's a licensed practitioner of Oriental medicine and former faculty member and clinic director at the Maryland Institute of Traditional Chinese Medicine. She's done quite a bit. Her search for true healing at the deepest levels, always a seeker, eventually led her to our guide Sidi, Sheikh Muhammad al-Jamal, and the ancient spiritual healing practices of Sufism. And here she is with us now in all of her light and her majesty and her glory and her beauty. And I am in gratitude for you, Kamila. So thank you for all that you bring and for the example that you are for all of us. And I'll let you take it away.
Well, thank you so much, Master, for that beautiful introduction. And I feel a little overwhelmed. I hope I can live up to the beauty of your introduction, and thank you for all that you bring to our organization as well. Master is also an incredible person, and I hope that some of you have already gotten to know Master through her weekly remembrance classes and through her writings and through speaking to her. She's our university relations coordinator and doing a wonderful, wonderful job. So I hope you've all had an opportunity to interact with Mastura personally as well. So thank you so much for the introduction. Thank you, everyone, for coming this evening. I know it's always busy and people have busy lives, and I really appreciate that you've taken the time out of your busy life to spend a couple of hours, an hour and a half or so with us. I know we have a very mixed audience. We have students at the university who join these calls. We have graduates. We have people who are new to the university but have been taking these teleseries for since last fall, and we probably have some people tonight who are completely new to tonight's class. So I'm hoping that I will be able to bring something of value to everyone who's participating tonight. And I hope that the teachings will be pleasing to the audience and pleasing to our Lord. Before we begin, I would just like to give everyone my contact information. You're always welcome to contact me if you're if you have questions about the university, you're interested in attending the university, you just want to know more about Sufism, you're always welcome to contact me by email or by cell phone, and I'm happy to talk. My email address is Kamila, Kamila, @sufiuniversity.org, Kamila@sufiuniversity.org, and my cell phone number is 520-399-5750, 520-399-5750. And as I said, don't hesitate to reach out to me. That's not next week, because next week I'm going to be in a conference all week in Los Angeles. There's an accreditation conference. The university is beginning the accreditation process with WASC, who accredits universities in the western part of the United States. So I'll actually be fairly unavailable next week. But after that time, or evenings or weekends, you're always welcome to contact me. So let me just begin with our traditional beginning, which is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. So as Master has said, tonight's topic is bringing your light into the world. And I would like to begin by introducing a few basic Sufi concepts to set the stage. We need to know a little about the Sufi understandings of creation and the human being's place in creation to be able to really speak about our purpose from a spiritual and practical perspective. After introducing these basic Sufi concepts, I'll speak briefly about the nature and the purpose of the creation of the human being, and then we'll discuss how we human beings can learn to carry out our purpose in this world. I will follow this teaching up with a practical exercise that we can all do together, and then we'll leave some time for questions and answers at the end if any of you have questions. We'll also give you contact information for next steps if you want to learn more about the university. So let me begin by reintroducing the Sufi concept of unity. I spoke about this last fall during my class on healing shame and self-blame, but some of you may not have been on that call, so I'll briefly recap here. The Sufi concept of unity, or the Sufi tenet of unity, is the belief in the oneness of existence, that there is only one being in existence, and that one being is God, and that all that we encounter in existence, in this world, in the spiritual world, in all of creation, is a revelation of that one being. So everything in existence is a manifestation of the one God. This is known in Sufi lingo as Tawheed, unity, the oneness of being. And secondly, we believe that we can only know God. We can know God through His qualities and attributes, the essence, the one existence of God in his hidden nature, his pure essence, is essentially unknowable for us in this world. But we can know God in this world through his qualities and his attributes, through his different aspects that are being manifested to us. So these different aspects, qualities and attributes, these different aspects of the divine are manifested to us both in the world around us, and they're manifested also to us within our own beings. Allah says to us in the Quran, I will show you my signs in the horizons and within yourselves. So we can know ourselves through, know our God, We can know our God through observing his signs in the world around us and through observing his signs within our own being. Now, I mentioned the qualities and the attributes of God, the different aspects of the divine. By tradition, Sufis speak about the 99 divine qualities or attributes. Obviously, since God is infinite, there are infinite attributes and infinite aspects of the divine. But by tradition, we've come to speak about them as the 99 divine names, or the 99 divine qualities or attributes. So as I said, they're known as the 99 divine names, or the beautiful names of God. Al-Asma al-Husna, the beautiful names of God. These represent all of the aspects of the divine that are around us in creation and within our being. So I'd like to read to you a short writing from one of the most famous Sufi sheikhs from history. His name was Ibn al-Arabi, and he lived actually in Andalusia, in Spain, during the Moorish period, during the period of time where there were Muslims, Jews, and Christians all living in peace in Spain, in southern Spain. And Ibn al-Arabi was, he's known as the greatest sheikh because he wrote prolifically. He wrote hundreds, if not thousands of books. I mean, amazing amount of writings, and more are being translated into English so that we can encounter them for ourselves. But I'd just like to read you a very, very brief writing from him as follows, where he's describing how the 99 divine names indicate how God can be seen and known in this world. So the quote is, Allah said, I was a hidden treasure and I wished to be known. Now, often the word wished is often translated in this quotation as loved or longed. So you'll sometimes hear, I was a hidden treasure and I loved to be known, or I was a hidden treasure and I longed to be known. So I created the creation, humankind, for me, so that they know me through me. Ibn Arabi goes on to say, the names hidden in him, in God, longed to manifest. And so, just like the breath escapes the body when it has been held for too long, the divine names broke out of the hidden and forever inaccessible divine being, because they longed to be known and loved. This is described as the Nafas ar-Rahman, the breath of mercy, the divine breath that blows throughout creation and lets the divine words work, lets the divine names work. The names encountered non-existence, which reflected them like so many mirrors. Thus, to a certain extent, The world is a reflection of the divine names. It only exists as long as its face, the surface of the mirror, remains turned towards God, failing which it will vanish because it depends absolutely on God. Yet God remains unchanged, untouched by the world, and he may only be approached through the reflection, so that everyone knows him in his own way, according to the names which manifest most strongly in them. So what Ibn al-Arabi is saying to us in this quotation is that the whole of creation has come about through the manifestation of the divine names, the divine attributes and aspects of the divine qualities. So the whole of creation is a manifestation of these divine names, which in truth are light. We can think about this, for example, if we use the metaphor of the sun and the rays of light from the sun, because as Ibn Arabi said, the divine being in its, the divine names broke out of the hidden and forever inaccessible divine being. So if we think of the divine being, if we use the metaphor of the sun, we human beings cannot approach the sun itself. We cannot be close to the sun. We cannot be in direct contact with the sun. We can't even look at the sun for very long without our eyes being damaged. And if we were to come too close to the sun, of course, our existence would cease. So the ways that, and yet the sun is very important to this world. The ways that we experience the sun are through the radiation from the sun, through the rays of light that reach us from the sun. And those rays of light support growth in this world. They bring us warmth, they bring us light, they have health benefits, plants grow, this planet would not carry life if it were not for the sun. So in the same way, we can think of the pure essence, unmanifest essence of the divine as being like the sun in that it's hidden and inaccessible from us, and yet we can be in relationship with it. We are totally dependent upon it, and we can know it through the radiation from that essence and the manifestation of the divine names into creation, because this is truly what creation is purely the manifestation of the attributes of the divine being. And so it is through these attributes that we can come to know God. Now, for the human being, one important thing to know is that the human being has a very special place in this creation. And what is special about the human being is as follows. Everything in creation is carrying these divine attributes of the divine, of God. So everything carries some of the attributes of the divine. Not everything carries the same attributes. So, for example, a rock and a plant don't carry identical attributes because they're different. They have different ways of being in creation. And a plant and an animal carry different attributes. A human being and an angel carry different attributes, actually, because one is visible and one is hidden from this world. But the special gift that the human being carries is that the human soul is the only thing in creation which carries all of the divine attributes. So the human soul carries all of the divine names of God. And remembering that Allah longed to be known, it is the human being, well, it's creation as a whole is one way that the whole of the divine is manifested and can be experienced, but the other way that Allah can experience and know himself completely is through the human soul, because the human soul is a complete mirror of the divine. So, you can look into some mirrors that are not complete and you will see various aspects of yourself, but only in a complete, clean, and whole mirror will you see yourself completely reflected and be able to know yourself completely. So this is the special role that the human being carries in creation. So this is a great gift for the human being, and something which is part of our human purpose, actually, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So what we can say about the human being, I want to speak a little bit about the nature of the human being and what our purpose is in creation. Is the first thing to know is that the human being, every human being, in every station in life, no matter what their condition, every human being is a magnificent holy creation of God who is carrying all of the divine attributes within their soul. So the question is, the human being has, let's talk a little bit about the different aspects and the different roles of the human being in creation. So the first thing we've just been speaking about is that the human being is the mirror of Allah, because we carry all of the names of God, all of the divine attributes within our soul. Now, so you can know the divine by polishing the mirror in your heart, which is why Sufis as a group are very assiduously trying to purify their heart, because if you have a mirror that has been, if you have a veil over a mirror, if you put a scarf over a mirror, for example, to veil it, you won't see the image so clearly. If the mirror is rusted or it's damaged, you won't see the image so purely and perfectly. So it's part of the Sufi tradition that we're working very hard to purify our hearts, to make sure that those divine qualities that were placed within our soul are fully expressed and are pure and unveiled, and so that we can carry out our role of being the mirror of Allah. But if you encounter someone in this state, we call those complete human beings or perfect human beings. If you know that soul, then you know the nature of Allah. You can understand the nature of your Lord by knowing the nature of the human soul, the pure human soul. So the human being is a mirror of Allah and carries all of the names. The human being stands between heaven and earth, between light and dark. And we human beings, despite the fact that our soul is the mirror of Allah, we also have an animal nature, a very human nature. And so we human beings have been given free will, and we're able to choose between light and dark, between heaven and earth, light and dark. We can choose either. And the human being has ultimate capacity for great good, and the human being also has ultimate capacity for great evil. And we see this played out in both ways in the world. So that's part of the burden of being a human being, is that we have to choose in every moment whether we're going to express the good or the evil in the world. And that's our responsibility, that choice. And it's a burden that was given to the human being. The human being, thirdly, is the vice-regent of creation. All of the cosmos actually came from the human being. and the human being has been given the responsibility of caring for creation as the vice-regent of God. And I would like now to read to you the story of Adam, because this will give you a taste of this, of the role of the human being, the creation of the human being. I'm reading from a book called Music of the Soul that was written by our guide Ph.D. The chapter is called Adam, the Caliph of Allah, Adam, the Vice-Regent of Allah. It's excerpts from pages 158 to 164. Now, as I read to you about Adam, I want you to understand that by Adam is the archetype for the whole of humanity. So although the reading speaks only about Adam and uses the pronoun he, this does not only apply to men. This is the story of Adam and Eve and the story of all humankind. But the prophet Adam is used as the archetype for humankind, and so that's why just bear this in mind as you hear me read the story of Adam. This is the story of all of us. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Beloved, I now explain to you who you are. I tell you your story. This appears to be the story of Adam, but it is your story in the world of the soul, in the world before creation. This is the story of who you were then, before you came into existence. Listen deeply and remember, because I speak to you from the essence of your soul. When Allah said to the angels, I want to make a vice-regent on earth, the angels said, why? If you bring your light down into the density of the earth, they will kill each other and abandon your holy way. Allah said, I am the knowing and the wise. And he created Adam, the first vice-regent. He put his image in him, his light in him, the fragrance of all his attributes, and he taught him everything from the beginning to the end. He wrote everything in his heart, the hidden and the revealed. He gave him the presence and the truth. By presence, I mean a body and personal existence. And by truth, I mean the deep secret name of Allah and his qualities. He made him a mixture of the elements earth, air, fire, and water, and from the breath of Adam, the firstborn birds emanated. And from the earth of Adam, mountains and trees and animals. And from the water of Adam, all of the beings in the sea emanated. Understand with a deep eye what is meant here by emanation. Adam, in the image of Allah, contained all the created universe within himself, and by the divine order from the completeness of the firstborn, all the creation issued forth. The world is like a shadow to the truth. The shadow has no substance, no light, no soul of its own. It is a projection of that existence which it reflects. The reality is veiled by truth, truth by presence, and the presence by the attributes of Allah. The pure essence of the attributes manifests in angelic forms, in mankind, in animals, and in the world of nature. All of the creation is the face of Allah. When Allah created Adam, he made him with this strength of his own to carry all that he has. And he put him in the garden for one thing, to show him the real wisdom. What is the wisdom? The pure Adam, the original Adam, lived only to remember Allah. He had no body, only Allah. He had no beginning nor end, only light from Allah. No shadow of presence apart from Allah. After that, Allah, in His wisdom, wanted the creation of the world. He was a hidden treasure who longed to be known, remember. If He had not put a self in Adam, the ego in Adam, there would be no world, because Adam was turned only to Him, and Allah had to turn him toward the creation of the world in order for mankind to be born through him. So He put in Adam the self, and this self was in three parts. First, the desire to eat the fruit and then to eliminate. For this he had to leave the garden, because in the garden of the first world there was no eating or defecating or sleeping, no fruit and no separation of Adam from the light of Allah. Then the desire to sleep with the woman and make children, and to fill the world with human beings. And the third part of the self of Adam was the desire to become the king of creation. Because Allah was creating Adam as the vice-regent, so He needed to place in Adam the desire to carry out that role, to become the king of creation. From the first world, many worlds arose through the agency of the self of Adam, through his desire to eat and sleep and be king of the creation. Now you see two Adams. The first is the pure original mirror of Allah, and the second is the metaphorical Adam, the human being, who is a shadow of the original Adam. You cannot see the first Adam with human eyes if you do not know the second, the metaphorical Adam. So we can't know who we truly are if we don't know ourselves through our being in this existence. Although He put all His wisdom and light in Adam to know Him, Adam must also know himself through the metaphor of his own existence for the sake of the creation of the world. The deep Adam is the true son of his father and the eye of Allah through which he sees. The name for human being in Arabic, by the way, is insan. In Arabic, it comes from the same root, actually, as the word for the pupil of the eye. So when Sidi says the deep Adam is the true son of his father and the eye of Allah through which he sees, he means this literally, that we are an eye of Allah, that Allah is seeing through us, through our being into His creation. He says to Adam, Allah says to Adam, if you eat the fruit and you do not lose me, you can eat the fruit of life. But if in eating the fruit you forget the secret, do not eat. From the outside, it may appear that Adam succumbed to the voice of the darkness and ate the fruit by his urging. But in the inner truth, Adam listened only to the voice of his Lord, who said to him, eat of life if you can eat without losing the deep secret love, my truth within you. Adam knew his message well. When he ate the fruit, it was to give the truth a presence, a life in form, and all the sons of Adam come from him. For this reason, Allah made him vice-regent, because he held all his secrets in his heart and obeyed every order. And he is the root of the holy tree, which begins to grow up from him. This is the same tree which he saw before in the garden, and he ate from her so that she could, through his body, become incarnate on earth. The metaphor of Adam is the truth of Adam. Thus, Adam is the first complete person, al-insan al-kamil, and within him is all the existence of mind and all the existence of soul. He embodies the deep truth of all humanity, and her truth does not end. She is in every place, in every time. Allah commands the angels to prostrate before this truth. You can see the light of Adam in every one of his sons, and you can hear his voice in every voice, if you listen with a deep ear, because there is no one, only he, in this world. Why is it said that when Adam ate the fruit, he had to leave the garden? What does this mean? Where did he go? I want to explain about the garden. People think that the garden is full of fruits and trees and flowers. But before he tasted and before he slept and before the fruit appeared to him and before the conception of the birth of the world, Adam lived in the true paradise of the presence of Allah, the world of pre-eternity, which, as we have said, was light upon light. The spirit of the truth of Adam wants to guide his sons back to the first garden, the paradise of the presence of the unity of God. It appears that Adam left the pure light of being in the garden to give birth to the life of the world. But in reality, he did not leave the garden, nor did the garden leave him. He took the garden into the deep, secret essence of his soul and covered it with the veils of all the qualities of creation, like a bride who covers herself in the midst of the world to preserve her beauty for her beloved alone. This is the answer to the question of the angels. It is easier to preserve the light when one is surrounded by light and enveloped by light. But the task of Adam and the sons of Adam is greater, to preserve the deep, secret light of the garden in the midst of the veils and darknesses of the created world. So this is the part of the ultimate divine purpose for all human beings, to preserve the light of the garden in this dark world, to know ourselves and to remember God, to remember Allah. In the Quran, in the second chapter of the Quran, verse 152, there's a command to us from our Lord. And that command, it's a command and a promise. Remember me, I will remember you. So our first purpose is to remember the truth of who we are, to preserve the light of unity in this dark world, to know ourselves, and to remember our truth, and to remember our God. And the second part of this ultimate divine purpose is for us to serve as the complete mirror of Allah. Remember, Allah said, I was a hidden treasure and I loved to be known. So it's the human being who can truly reflect the complete divinity. As well as the cosmos. The complete cosmos is also the complete manifestation of the divine. But within every human being, there is also this complete manifestation within the soul. And as long as we continue to purify our soul and to purify our beings, then we can reach that state of being the complete mirror of Allah. So this is part of our ultimate divine purpose for all human beings. We all carry this purpose within our existence. So the next question is, what is our individual purpose as a human being? Because we each of us are different. We come with different gifts, and I believe come into this world with an individual purpose as well as the ultimate divine purpose that we are all responsible for. So as I mentioned in the fall, in my last talk, every baby arrives in this world knowing that they are a shining star of love, a magnificent holy creation, and that they have been sent into the world to bring a gift, a light, if you will. And they're to bring that gift to their immediate family, to their life companions, and to the world at large. So when we come in, I believe every baby comes in knowing the gift that they're carrying and what their purpose is in this existence. But what happens to us human beings, and it begins to happen right from birth, sometimes during birth, but certainly right after birth, as we enter into this physical existence, we undergo many, 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 many experiences, some of them good, some of them not so good, some of them beautiful, some of them painful, but all of them seemingly very real. We can think of this world seems to be very real to us. And our guide says to us, you know, the world is the thickest veil between you and the truth. Because, you know, this existence, this world around us seems so real that we tend to forget the truth of where we come from. And, you know, you see with babies, it takes a while for them to forget, you know. Up to 7 years, you know, babies and young children, it's very clear, particularly with newborn babies, that they're still in contact with that world of the unity. You can see it in their eyes. But because we're exposed to so many strong and physical experiences, emotional experiences in this world, what happens is that our pure original nature, this beautiful soul carrying all of the divine qualities within it, begins to be veiled by these experiences in the world. So what happens is the divine names that we're carrying, the qualities that we're carrying in our hearts become covered over. And so we begin slowly, sometimes not so slowly, to forget who we are. And with that, we can also forget what our gift is and what our purpose is here in this world. So it's one of the, you know, I'm asked really often by students, it seems to be a question that so many people carry is, how do I find my life's purpose? What is my life's purpose, and how do I find it, and how do I bring it out into the world? So what I say to them is, the first part of your purpose is to become the divine expression of yourself. Be who Allah created you to be. So in one sense, we can't help but carry out our life's purpose, you know. Allah placed me here on earth and made me Kamila. So it's my purpose to become the purest, cleanest, most holy, most whole Kamila that I can become, because that's who Allah sent me here to be. So this is my divine purpose, is really to become the true, complete expression, divine expression of myself. And so this is a purpose that we all carry. It's part of that ultimate purpose of carrying that, preserving the light of the garden in this world, is for us to purify and return to the divine state that we entered this world within. So, you know, your ultimate purpose here, if your name is John, Allah created you to be John. And so that's your purpose in this world. And there's no way that you're not going to carry that out. You're placed here, and that's your purpose, to be yourself. But obviously we want to carry that out in the best way possible and to become the best self that we can. And I think that's a commonly held, I think this knowledge is held in our society. We often hear the catchphrase, which sometimes sounds a little corny, but it's, you know, be the best self you can be. This ultimately, this is a part of us. This is our purpose. That's our ultimate purpose, to be here, to be ourselves, and to become the divine whole expression of ourselves, the true human being in creation. But we also brought our gifts into the world, and we need to bring those gifts out into the world in action. And I think it's here that people get a little caught up here, because I hear from in the way that people ask the questions of how can I find my purpose in life, that people carry a belief sometimes that they have one single purpose. It's a big purpose. It's a big life purpose. It can only be carried out one way, and if I don't get it right, then all is lost. I've screwed up. I haven't carried out my life's purpose, and I'm a failure. And people also very much tend to have a very large and grand idea of what a purpose might be, So people tend to think that this has to be a huge, world-changing purpose that they need to carry out. Now, in a sense, that's true, because all of us change the world every day in our normal everyday existence. Simply by being in the world as part of creation, we are changing and affecting the world with everything that we say and do and think and feel. So I think people sense that, and this kind of gets blown up into this, oh my goodness, I've got to find my life's purpose, I've got to carry it out, or else I've failed and I'm really sunk and I've wasted my life. But what I don't actually hold it this way. And what I say to students when they ask me this question of bringing your gift out into the world in action, we can do this in many ways, and we can do it in many professions. So, for example, somebody may come into this world with the gift of healing. And, people can be, we tend to think, healing means you have to be a doctor, a nurse, an acupuncturist, a massage therapist, you may be a spiritual healer. There are many different ways that you can bring through the gift of healing, and you can bring healing, for example, into relationships. There are people who work as mediators, as peacemakers, who are healing relationships on a daily basis, helping families to heal, helping communities to heal. There are people who bring the gift of healing to our planet by working for finding ways to live sustainably so that our planet can remain healthy and not be overburdened with what humanity is bringing to it. So there are people who heal organizations by going in and teaching organizations how to function in a more healthy way. So there are many ways of bringing that gift of healing into the world. There isn't just one way, and you have to find it, and you've really screwed up if you haven't found it. I don't believe that that's the truth. So, for example, another person may come into this world, and their gift is a gift of creativity and beauty. And that gift can manifest in the world, again, in many ways. The gift of creativity can manifest in, somebody becoming an artist or a musician. But it can also manifest in somebody becoming a computer scientist, because that's a computer programmer. That's a very creative activity. I know, because I was one for many years. So there are many, many ways to bring your gift of creativity into the world. Somebody else may come with the gift of teaching. There are so many places for us to teach, at all levels of society. And, all of these gifts also can be manifested in a very important place, which is in the home with our children and with our family, because parents are teaching their children all the time, and they're healing their children with their love, and they're teaching their children how to bring peace into the world, how to bring generosity into the world. So, no matter what we find ourselves doing as a job or a career, we're able to manifest our gift. And it can be in a very small way, or it can be in a very large way out in the world. Some people come in with a real gift and love of justice, and there again, that can be manifested in so many different ways. You know, one person may be working to help the homeless, to bring food to the homeless, or to find a place for them to sleep, or to find them jobs to really help them get on their feet. That's working for justice in the world. Another can be working for making peace between nations. Another can be working in the legal profession, ensuring that justice is given to all, you know, who run afoul of our laws, and making sure that there's justice within our legal system. So I think that we need to let go of the picture of there only being one purpose for us in life. I think we come in with one or more gifts, and those can be expressed in so many different ways that we have real freedom in the way that we express our gift in our life, and it doesn't have to look one particular way. And sometimes we express our gift. I'm 68 now, so I feel like sometimes that I've led many lives, not just one life. I mean, I've changed professions. I've gone from, you know, working in the Western science, healthcare side of things into Eastern tradition of medicine, and now into spiritual healing. And I've lived in all kinds of places in the world, and I've raised a family. And you know, to me, I feel like I haven't just lived one life. I've lived several lives, and life is amazingly long. So don't despair that you're going to run out of time, because it seems to me, looking back, that there's been plenty of time, and that things just change, and we change with it. So, so you may be asking yourself at this point if, you know, as I said, we forget who we are, and we forget the gifts that we carry, and we forget what our purpose is. So the question is, how do we know what it is? And what I believe is our hearts know. Our hearts don't really forget. While we may forget with our minds, we may forget the truth of where we've come from, our hearts don't truly forget. Because at the deepest place in the human heart is the essence of the divine. Our hearts carry, our souls carry the divine name. So that essence is there. Allah's essence is deep within our hearts, and our hearts know the truth. So we can discover the answer to how do I know what my purpose is by asking our heart. And I would recommend asking the following questions. First thing to ask yourself is, what am I drawn to? What do I love doing? Because Allah will give us the desire and the attraction to carry out His purpose for us. Allah does not send us into the world and give us a purpose without also giving us the longing to carry it out. Just as Allah gave us the ego, the desires of the ego that we needed to be human beings, the desire to eat and sleep and to procreate, and the desire to be vice-regent, those were given to us for a purpose. And so when Allah sends us into the world with a purpose, He gives us the gifts to carry out that purpose, and He also gives us the longing to carry out that purpose. So the first thing to ask yourself is, what do I long to do? What am I drawn to doing? What do I like to do? What do I want to do? Now, for someone who's at the point of life that I'm at, it's also really helpful to contemplate your life. I mean, we're in this life journey to learn from our life, so we should always be contemplating our life, what's happening in our life, what are the signs that we're encountering in our life, what are the meanings that we're encountering in our life. But, you know, after a certain period of living life, you can look back and contemplate your life, and you can see patterns in your life. So, for example, my life's been interesting. Master suggested that I share some of it with you. I don't want to take too much time with that, because I want us to have time to do the practical exercise here, but, you know, I was born out in the middle of nowhere in this tiny little town in the outback of Australia, and I have no idea how I got from there to where I am right now, but Allah placed a great longing in my life, in my heart, first of all, to explore the world, to know, to learn, and to explore. But from there, I began studying, and I followed my longing to travel. And I just basically in my life followed what my heart was drawn to. Even though I was a scientist at the beginning and very, very logical and focused mentally, somehow or other I was always wise enough to actually just follow my heart. So whatever my heart wanted, I did. And but as I look back on my life to see where that led me, you know, it led me first of all into science in the medical field, and then it led me into teaching. I taught elementary schools for a couple of years in Scotland. Then it led me into computer science and biology, and that's how I ended up at the National Institutes of Health. And then it led me into Chinese traditional medicine, and then it led me to spiritual healing. So I kind of went the whole gamut of what looked like very, very different careers. And yet, as I look back at every one of those careers that I had, I noticed that there are two things that I always ended up doing. I always ended up teaching, and I always ended up healing. And, you know, now I've come to realize that those are the longings and the gifts that Allah placed in my heart, teaching and healing. And that has manifested, you know, in all kinds of different ways throughout my life. But I've always ended up in those places doing those things. And I didn't always set out to do it, but that's how I ended up. You know, when I began attending the University of Spiritual Healing and Sufism, number one, I was sure that I would flunk out. I didn't think I had any talent for this, but I never in my wildest dream thought I would end up teaching at the university. You know, I just was going, I wanted to come because I wanted healing for my heart. I was in pain, and I really was longing for peace and happiness in my heart. So that was all I was looking for. But lo and behold, it's a healing university, right? So I ended up becoming a healer, and then I ended up becoming a teacher. But that's been the pattern throughout my life. So if you look, for those of you who've reached a certain age, if you look back through your life and really contemplate where you ended up, no matter what you were doing, what were you truly doing in that profession, you may see that there are patterns, that that there's a pattern and something that you've always been drawn to in each of those different careers. For those of you who are young and don't have, a large amount of life to look back on, then really you need to be asking yourself primarily the question of, what do I love doing? What do I long to do? And just really follow that desire and that attraction, and, follow your heart is my advice. The third thing that we can do, of course, is ask God directly for guidance. We can ask God, please reveal to me, show me what it is that you would have me do in this life. And there are at least 2 of the 99 divine names that are related to guidance. One of the 99 names is Al-Hadi, which means literally the guide. And then it's spelt H-A-D-I. Al just means the, and H-A-D-I is the guide, And then there's a second name, Ar-Rashid. Ar again just means the, and Rashid, R-A-S-H-I-D, means the spiritual director. So we can sit in remembrance of the divine. Hopefully you've all had a chance to practice the remembrance. Remembrance is simply sitting, focusing on your heart, and reciting the name of God directly into your heart, reciting the name Allah or reciting another name of the divine. We can recite some of the 99 names, and for this purpose I recommend reciting Al-Hadi, Ar-Rashid, because there you're invoking the guidance of the divine, and you can sit and do this remembrance into your heart with the names of guidance from the divine, and ask Allah to, give me a sign, reveal to me in my heart what it is that my purpose is. And sometimes we can receive the guidance directly that way. So, so what I wanted to suggest is first of all, as I said, look at what you're drawn to, what you're longing to do, what you're really attracted to, and trust that, particularly really pay attention to, is this something that feels like it's deep within my heart? Is this something my heart's really longing for? And if it is, then trust that and follow it. Then secondly, there's contemplation of your life and the patterns in your life, and getting clued that way of what your purpose and gifts really are, because they're showing up over and over again in your life, or asking the divine directly for guidance through recitation of the divine names for guidance. And of course, best of all is to do all three of these. And I thought that we would perhaps spend a little time here doing an exercise where we do some of these practices. So what I would like us to do is to spend a few minutes gently reciting the name Allah into our heart. Can be done silently. I'm going to do it out loud so that you will hear it, but what I recommend for you is that you do it silently, focusing your attention on your upper chest, which is the place where we find our subtle heart, and our soul is in that area. So focus your attention on your upper chest, the subtle heart, and recite quietly and gently inside the name Allah directly into your heart. And for those of you who are old enough, do a little review of your life. Look at your life with love and gratitude and gentleness, and ask yourself, what have I been drawn to? And if you see that there's a theme or themes in your life, then just make yourself a little note on a piece of paper of, what are the themes that are showing up in your life review. For those of you who are very young, same exercise, but instead of looking at, what have I been drawn to in life, ask yourself the question, what is my heart really longing to bring out into the world? If I could do anything, bring anything out into the world, what would it be? What would I like it to be? What do I want to give to this world, and what do I want to give to myself? So we'll do that for a few minutes, and then we'll do the last part of the exercise, which will be to recite the recitation, Ya Allah, Ya Hadi, O Allah, O Guide. But I'll let you know when it's time to switch. When it's time to stop with the first exercise, I'll just ask you to make a note if you've received any wisdom from that life review or that practice, and then we'll go on to the second part of the practice. So I'd like to begin with a recitation of the Fatiha, which is the opening surah of the Quran, and it's something we use often as Sufis whenever we're beginning something, but it's also a prayer for guidance. So I will recite the Fatiha, and then what I would like you to do, as I said, is just focus your attention gently on your upper chest, reciting quietly into your heart the name Allah, and looking at your life and the themes that show up in your life, or asking yourself, what is it that my heart's really longing for and wanting to bring out and give to the world. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. الله الله Allah, 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 Allah. So bring your attention gently back into your room and just make a note on a piece of paper of any insights that you might have received during that little exercise, either about the longings of your heart or life themes, things that have continually showed up in your life. Now what I would like us to do, secondly, is let's ask Allah for direct guidance on what He would like you to bring out into the world and how to put that into action. How best to put that into action. Beloved Allah, we ask that you send us your wisdom, send us your guidance. Give us insight and knowledge about what it is that you would love for our hearts to contribute to your creation. What would you like us to bring out into the world? And how would you like us to do it? Please give us the wisdom to recognize your guidance, the courage to carry it out, and the knowledge to bring it into being. Ameen. So again, allow your attention to be gently focused on your upper chest, your heart, as we recite, Ya Allah, Ya Hadi, O Allah, O Lord, O Guide. We'll do that for a few minutes, and then I'll ask you again to make a note of anything that you've received. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya Allah, Ya Hadi, 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 Ya Allah, Ya Hadi. So let's just sit quietly in silence for a few moments, just to make space for that still small voice, bringing us insight and guidance. So if you have received any insight or any wisdom or guidance coming through during this exercise, then again, just make yourself a little note on a piece of paper so that you can come back to it later. I know that the time is brief for us to do these exercises on this call, so, just know that this is something that you can do for a longer period of time on your own at home, because, normally I would spend a little more time, myself, I would be spending a little more time with these exercises, but time is short on the call, so don't hesitate to put them into practice in your life whenever you're feeling unsure of where to go next and what to do next. So I would love to hear from any of you who would like to share what that exercise was like for you, and if there's anything you'd like to share with the group. I also want to take questions. So before we open up the phones and go to questions or sharing, I just wanted to give you some information about possible next steps for you if you would like to learn more about the university and our programs and what we have to offer. The first thing I want to share with you is our website information. You can go to, if you're new to the university, you can go to the information web page. The web address is http://sufiuniversity.org, sufiuniversity.org/info. So it's sufiuniversity.org/info. And that page includes links to a 7-day e-course on remembrance with live weekly remembrance calls with our own beloved Mastura. So you can be on a live call where you can practice for a period of time live the exercise, the first part of the exercise we're doing tonight of reciting the name of the divine into your heart. You can register for the next free teleclass or the whole series on this page. You can sign up for a free consultation with one of our enrollment specialists if you want to discuss next steps or learn more about the university if you have questions. You can also click through to read more about our Masters of Divinity academic program. And while I'm mentioning that, right now you have an opportunity, if you're ready to jump in, feet first the way I did when I first became a student. We have a new class that is beginning in just over 2 weeks. I think it's 15th or 16th of April. There is a new first-year class beginning, a first-year class for our Masters of Divinity program, which is a 4-year master's degree program. So if this is something that you have been considering or your heart is drawn to, now is your chance. You know, don't waste time, because there's only 2 weeks before this class begins, and it's always good to seize your moment. So if you're at all interested, please do go to that page and sign up for a consultation with our enrollment specialist. You'll find contact information there for them as well, so you can call one of them or and speak to one of them about what would be involved in enrolling. But you're also free to call them just to discuss the university and learn more about our programs. So again, that's sufiuniversity.org/info. And I gave you my contact information at the beginning. As I said, you're always welcome to contact me also. So thank you so much for attending, everyone. I hope that this teaching was beneficial for your heart and pleasing to our Lord. And Master, if you would like to take people off mute, I'll be happy to either. I would love it if people wanted to share what the experience of the exercise was, or if you have a question, I'll be happy to take questions and answer them as best I can. Thank you so much, everyone.
Alhamdulillah. So if you have a question, you can press *2, and I will unmute you, and I'll call either your name or your, part of your phone number or something. *2 if you have a question. If you're on the phone, if you're on the webcast, you can type it in, and I will read it for Kamila. And Kamila, while we're waiting on that, if I could just ask about what's been coming up for me. Is it okay with you?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Because I go, there are times where I feel so much drive, and I know there's passion mixed with drive. And I get to this place of, I really, bottom line, I want to touch people's hearts. I want to help people to know love in their own hearts. And when you were talking at the beginning of the class about, that you kind of said it's like in the manifestation. How did you say it? There's becoming the divine expression of ourselves, and then there's bringing the gifts into action. And sometimes I get in that. I think it's like I get in that space of just wanting to become the divine expression, and I think, I sure am working really hard to want to make a difference in lives. And sometimes I think that I could just let go of the drive and the striving and be in a place where I could just see as many people as possible just with a warm smile and a friendly greeting. And, I think of when I was in college and I worked in the grocery store as a checker, and I was, the express checker, and I just worked really fast, and I saw a lot of people, and, and talking and laughing and smiling with the people was a wonderful thing. And sometimes I think, I feel like I could serve God and touch hearts of people in that way. And then other times I feel so much drive, and I kind of get a little bit mixed up sometimes where the drive comes from myself versus from that flame of passion from inside, you know, that is the God-given inspiration to bring the. I'm like you. Everything that I've done has been with teaching and with healing, and I get great fulfillment from that. And so, you know, sometimes I get a little bit confused about, well, how is that really supposed to show up? And, you know, how hard am I really supposed to work for that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Esther. And I think it brings forward something that is also very important, which is it's very important for us as we bring our gifts out into the world to stay in connection with the divine. Because, you know, when we're in the contemplative state, like with the exercises that we were doing today, you know, we're really sitting with our Lord and waiting for inspiration. And I don't know what people's experience was. I would love to know. But, you know, what I feel there is this warmth and this real physical almost connection in my heart. And from in that place, one can be very inspired and really, you know, you receive insight into what you'd really like to bring out into the world. And then there's the going out and doing it. And unfortunately for us human beings, at least for me, the trap is always that one can become so engrossed in going out and doing it that you forget to stay in connection with the divine. So so after a time, if you're focused so hard on making it happen and working really hard to make it happen and forgetting to stay in connection with the divine or to remember over and over again to come back and drink from the divine inspiration, what can end up happening is that we're then doing it from ourselves instead of from our inspiration. We become exhausted. We begin to think that it's up to us to make it happen, as opposed to just being in the flow of the divine will in creation, you know, just bringing through what Allah is bringing through us. We think that we have to make it happen. We've decided what our purpose is, which came to us through inspiration, but now we've taken it over. It's like, okay, this is what I have to do. I know now what I have to do. Let me go out and make it happen. And, you know, when we're doing it for myself, it's very tiring. I am a reformed, recovering control freak. And I can tell you that it's exhausting to run the world. It really is. When we're trying to make things happen from ourselves, it's really tiring. And we're really invested in the outcome. You know, we're very invested in making happen what we think should happen because we have a picture of what success looks like. So I think, you know, this is something that I work with as well for myself because it's definitely, you know, something I still work with it, you know, remembering that while I'm busy and doing all of these things that I'm inspired to do, that I remember to stay in connection with Allah and let Allah nourish my heart and continue to guide me and to really be moving from Allah rather than from myself. Because when we're moving from Allah, we know that whatever's happening is Allah's will. It's not our will, and there's no success or failure then. If we're moving from Allah, we're fulfilling our purpose. Whatever the outcome is, it may not look like our picture. The other thing that you said that really struck me too about the smiling at people made me think of something that our guide Ph.D. has said to us, which is, you know, if you want to bring peace in the world, first of all, you start with your own heart. Then once you have peace in your heart, you bring peace into your family and, you know, bring the peace into the family. And then from the family, you move out into the community. And from there, you move out into the world. But it begins with us. And, you know, our heart has to be full of love and peace before we can, or, you know, all of these gifts, we give from a place of overflowing. So it's very important to nourish our heart, because when our heart is nourished and full, it naturally overflows to others. We don't have to force it. You know, we don't have to go out and make it happen. It just comes naturally because it's an overflowing of the love and the beauty and generosity that Allah placed in our heart. And so things flow easily from that place. I mean, you really expressed how enjoyable that was to just smile and chat to people and be with people in that place where there was no striving and no pushing, you know, it was just being.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's really beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. That's helpful. So I'm realizing that, do you have time for one more question?
Sure.
We're right at 9:30. Okay. So one more. Here's from the webcast. I have a vision of what I want to do, what my passion is, but there's always something holding me back. How can I change that?
So, there are often things holding us back. I don't know exactly what is holding you back, but often what's holding us back is fear of failure or lack of hope, or there are little voices, little tapes that we run inside of us that tend to sabotage ourselves. You know, these voices come from our living our life in this world and forgetting the truth of who we are and the truth of the divine will being expressed here. So what I would suggest to you is to sit in remembrance, again, to really just sit with the name of God in your heart and really contemplate what are the places, what are the thoughts, what are the memories, what are the fears that are holding you back. And when you find them, don't try to suppress them, don't make them wrong, just hold them in your heart and then bring the name of God into them. Because whenever we call on the name of the divine, the divine responds, and healing light is sent from within us and from without us. Every time we invoke the name of the divine, there's healing light that comes to us. So just set your intention to just hold those fears and hesitations and wounds and memories, whatever it is that's in the way, just hold them hold them in front of you and be willing to allow to take them from you and just open to receiving that divine light. It's really easy. You don't have to make anything happen. You just sit there and, sit there in your being with all of this that you would like to yield and give up and let go of, and then just repeat the name of the divine into that place and just be in expectation of Allah healing what needs to be healed. And try not to make pictures of what the result should be. It may not be a one-off thing. You may have, a number of things that need healing. So I would just repeat that as needed until you're able to move forward. And, guidance can be for every moment. So it may also be part of what's holding you back, may be that it feels too big for you. So, because, the vision of what you're seeing may be a big, beautiful vision, and there may be a place in your heart that's scared because it feels too big. So let yourself know that it's one step at a time, and to keep bringing Allah in as you take each step. And whenever a fear or hesitation comes up, just bring the name in again to that and let the light of the divine name, the light of Allah, work on that fear and hesitation until you're able to take the next step. And, it's like that, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, right? So, just continuing to stay with Allah and noticing at every step when a hesitation comes up, and then just turning that to the divine and asking for healing of whatever's in the way. Even if you don't know what it is in the way, you can still ask Allah, invoke the divine names to come in, ask Allah to take whatever it is from you and to open the way for you to take the next step.
Thank you, Kamila. That's beautiful and so nourishing. And the journey never ends, right?
Right, exactly. Yes, it's not a journey of 1,000 miles, it's an infinite journey. There is no end.
Yes.
But it's a beautiful journey. You just enjoy. The other thing is enjoy the journey, because the journey is beautiful. So.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I want to thank you, Kamila, and for everything that you've shared and for the richness that you've given on this call. And I want to thank everyone who has been listening and either on the phone or the webcast. And I want to thank all of the people who are listening to the recording as well. Thank you for being a part of this program. And if you have any questions that didn't get answered here, you are invited and welcome to visit our webpage, SufiUniversity.org. S as in Sam, U, F as in Frank, I, SufiUniversity.org/info, INFO. And if you'd like to speak with someone directly to get your questions answered, whether it's about the Sufi tenets as Kamila started with, the concepts, the healing work, the programs, anything that we offer here, click the link to set up a consultation with one of our team specialists, and they would be more than happy to help you. So with that, Kamila, unless you have anything else, we'll go ahead and say good night.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. for hosting the call. And thank you all, everyone, for spending this time with me.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.